everyone. We've got our first episode of 2020 Off Market here today. Episode 6 all up, I think. Gents, welcome back.
Jess.
Welcome back, Jess.
Thanks for coming back.
Bit nervous today, Jess. What's going on? 2020 big year, some big news to share with us all or something?
No, I just feel the pressure. I feel like we've got a lot to live up to.
You're lucky Shane and I carry you every week. So
I know, thank God. Thank God. Have you guys got any resolutions, any goals for the year?
They're gone.
Oh, it's done?
Yeah.
You kicked your goals already?
Didn't happen.
Oh.
It's over. Didn't happen, so...
I've got a simple goal this year.
Yeah?
To breathe.
Yeah.
Just breathe.
I was trying to take it easy on coffee. That's not happened at all.
Oh, what a
no
stupid
alcohol
resolution.
Just
Dumb.
chill, go with the flow.
I did change one thing. I've gone from getting coffees from a cafe to getting it in a can.
In a can?
Yeah. So
You did that last year.
It's really good.
Cold or hot?
Cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That'll last until winter.
yeah.
Anyway, guys, Roscoe.
Yeah.
We're straight into Under the Hammer.
Yeah.
It's Christmas. It's been Christmas. So
Mate, it's Christmas. That was like 6-8 weeks ago.
Have we had any auctions?
No,
to
auctions
report
start.
about?
My first one's tomorrow in Mount Hawthorn, or as my nonna used to say, Mount Hawthorn.
Many numbers said that.
Yeah. Which is what we were talking a bit before about sort of where the market is pre-post Christmas, and certainly this property, which is on the corner of Anzac and Kalgoorlie Street, Mount Hawthorn. Massive amount of interest. I'm expecting a great result. So if that's the indication of what's happened, that momentum and that cadence we had in the market leading up to Christmas, which was, we were saying before with, Shane and Lindsay, our guest, to come on screens shortly about the last few years, how the market had a good run leading up to Christmas. And then we thought, fantastic, jump on the horse, we're going to go. And then we got back in January and blah, this year, it's kept going. So, and we're all seeing evidence of that. So I'm expecting the auction market to take off. And Shane's vowed and declared his New Year goal is to take auctions to Gosnells, and it's going to just go every time. Viral with Aussies.
I do have one coming.
I had a challenge for Shane because I saw some auction results which said apparently auctions are big in Dianella, and I've seen a lot of your, well, not a lot, but I've seen a few of your listings popping up around the area.
Yeah,
so Gosnells is no excuse now.
No, that's true. A lot of the dialogue is very much auction based, but without basically Ross being there on the day. So
there you go.
But I do have one coming up, Ross.
Oh, good, mate.
It's not in Gosnells.
Not in Gosnells, that's okay.
Just on that, we're talking about the urgency. One thing I've noticed, and I've got sort of stock all over Perth, and it's not about me, but I can get a good snapshot of what's happening. Last week, I think I saw 4 or 5 that went in the first few days. We found there's still the same amount of buyers there, so multiple offers, couple on each, both going over the from price. But we had 28 through, 16 through, and I think 16 through. Now, a lot of them weren't ready to buy, but I haven't had that situation in a long time where they're actually doing research mode, saying, Shane, look, we're first home buyers, can you help us speak to someone about getting set? It just hasn't been the case. You've had the serious buyers there, the people that must act, but to have that backup and have that bit of energy at a home open, like literally to hear other footsteps other than the one buyer, is pretty exciting.
That's exciting.
And I had a first in a year day of, I do about 12 home opens, I had someone through every property, which is huge.
Out.
I know.
Huh?
Hey, good signs.
So that's good. Yeah,
good
So
signs.
this is all go.
Everywhere.
Look out. There we go.
Okay.
You've heard the word in January. We're going to hit straight onto the real press.
Go.
I have an article here, and I've seen this all over. Obviously, Rewa's released last year's stats, so I've seen it everywhere. All you guys are putting it all over Facebook and social media, but I pulled this article from Perth Now. Perth's top selling suburbs for 2019 revealed. I want you guys to bust this for me because it took a 10-minute conversation with you two and Lindsay for me to understand what top selling meant. In my mind, that meant overall volume, which doesn't seem to be the case.
It reminds me of being number one agent in WA. There's about 18 agents.
Yeah, what does that mean?
But that is...
He's 4 of them.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but I do get... It's really, really interesting. It sorts out the people that you know are coming to market because I get that article sent from anyone I have that has a property in that area that I've sold for. They're like, send it. Look, Shane, look.
Yeah, look what's going on.
But what does it mean, guys? So the top 10 selling suburbs, according to this, Lakelands, Mundaring, Alfred Cove, Manning, Swanbourne, The Vines, Careen, Waikiki, Heathridge and Erskine. And because I thought it was volume, I wanted to ask Lindsay actually, because Mundaring to me is not a high volume suburb.
None of them are.
No.
Swanbourne,
So-
none of them are. No.
So a little bit of digging revealed that it's actually volume, it's actually percentage increase.
Okay. of sales.
Percentage increase of sales,
Of number of sales.
Number of sales in those suburbs.
So the problem is, though, Jess, these type of reports come out and they're a placebo, really. They give false expectations of what's truly going on. That comes back to our old warhorse about, so if you want to give accurate statistics, it needs to be more postcode orientated, so it's relevant to that particular postcode and what's going on within that area. Because those suburbs there, the bulk of them are really low volume. So how do you get any real sort of indication of what's going on if there's 6 sales in the quarter versus, and all of a sudden there was 8 or there was 10? Oh my God, we've got this huge increase, but on very low numbers. So it sort of it skews things. And more importantly, it's said, it gives false hope or false expectations to the public.
It is a little bit deceiving. So Waikiki, it says, which is on the list, recorded 152 property sales, representing a 21% increase, which means that they would have, the quarter before, sold, 120?
About 30 odd variants,
Yeah.
So I do believe that's a good indicator that's starting to take place. And I was speaking to Ross off there about this. The best indicator, and I first learnt in real estate, if you want to see how hot your area is, look at a certain type of property and work out how many of those are on the market compared to how many are selling. The month's supply gives you an indication of how hot the area is. So Shenton Park, and we use that as an example because it is such a hot zone, there might only be 10 sales in a quarter. It's pretty easy to influence those numbers. But over Waikiki and you've got 150, if you look at how many on the market in that, I guess, corridor, there might be triple that.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It does.
And the days on market thing we'll talk about. Days on market.
We've got days on market here.
And that's probably one of the best indicators. Like supply, how much supply you got and what are the days on market.
Yeah. So quicker selling suburbs, we've got Wembley, Heathridge, West Leederville, Corrine, White Gum Valley, Nedlands, Kingsley, Woodvale, Shenton Park, Mount Clermont.
Yeah.
A lot of those are really good school zones.
Which great areas, good locales.
Yeah. And it's got a bit of development happening through a couple of those latter ones. There's a bit of development happening through there. Change of zoning, so that could also influence that.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I've noticed about the last 18 months, forget zoning changes, the hottest thing has been school zones. It's just like,
massive.
It doesn't matter, South Corridor, Northern Corridor, I'm not sure about the hills, but people trying the best school zone, it's amazing.
What is it? What did you say about that, Lindsay?
People do search for schools. And talking to teachers last year is the school zones are shrinking. Their area might be this big, but now it's not that big because there's more development in the area and they can't take any more kids on. So what happens is you have parents wanting to move into that area so it doesn't get shaved off, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's a good indicator with data. So most areas, and I've spoken to this before about analysing how well placed you are in the market. If you go to an area like Rossmoyne, you'll find if 1,000 people look at that property online, 1,000 people will look at the map because you need to be in the catchment zone.
Right.
Areas with less desirable school zones, it'll be a 1:4 ratio. So only a quarter of the people will click on the map because it's not as important. But that's a really good indicator. If you're getting that amount of views, you've got a good audience that are engaged in the property. Neighbours don't do that, buyers do. So
Beautiful. Okay. We also had on here the rental vacancy rate is improving. Another good sign.
Still, I actually think the rental market's gained even more momentum again
definitely.
since pre-Christmas.
Yeah.
I know a number of people I speak to, and they have, from 1-bedroom flats through to 5-bedroom homes. They have a inspection booked tomorrow night. They'll have 18, 20, 25 people booked to come and see these properties, and it's across the board. There's no sort of one area. And I'd be interested to see what Lindsay's seen up in the hills, which is a micro market again. But
what's interesting with us is we're finding our top end rentals. They're going twice as quick as our average,
brilliant,
and that's amazing.
is
for
that
us.
the FIFO or FIFO workers coming back?
A little bit of both, because it's close to the airport.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So we find that's a big market. But I've always found over my years that when the rental market takes off, you usually find the sales market will get dragged along with it because a lot of people, my son's out looking and, he's looking at 350, 400 a week sort of thing. And he said the other day, he said, Dad, people walking around saying, we'll offer them $50 a week more. It's more than 10%. So when the rental market then starts to go up in dollars, a lot of tenants say, let's go and buy.
That one we spoke about in Manning, who we had a multiple offer situation, that person decided they were going to buy because they couldn't find a rental. And they looked at the numbers, and we spoke about this, I guess, the last show.
Yeah.
37% of Perth cheaper to rent than buy.
Yeah.
They just said, this is ridiculous. It was in obviously uni area catchment. So they said, we're going to buy. And they're about $150 off better a week, and that's at a $600,000 property.
Yeah.
So that trend of creating more buyers is going to happen.
And you'd have to argue too where the market and that whole economic clock is. Buying now, you'd hedge the bet that they will get equity. It will increase over the next 2-3 years. Because the other thing I've seen in the rental market is the length of leases. You know, before, like a year or two ago, it's hard to get a 6-month lease, or everybody was given a 6 because they knew, give me a 6-month lease, and they have all the excuses that the market was dropping in 6 months. They'd come back and they'd renegotiate the rent south. What's happening now, I'm seeing lots of leases come through that are 1 to 2 years. 1 year's minimum, and a lot of them are 2 years.
Especially families.
So we're getting the wind up here. What?
No ding.
So that was very insightful.
Yeah, it was. Good convo, guys. I'm going to bring Lindsay on. Come on down. Our guest this week, Lindsay Earnshaw of Earnshaw Realty. I have to make it a mission, guys, which I was going to keep it a secret, but I can't.
You can't?
Because I can't read the intro with my research about Lindsay that I wrote because I've printed 5 times page 1 of my script.
Nice.
Good.
So I'm flying
So you
lines.
have to wing it.
I'm winging
It's going to be a
it.
very long episode.
Lindsay Earnshaw from Earnshaw Real Estate.
Up in the hills.
Based in Darlington, Glen Forest, but you're selling kind of the whole hills area.
Pretty much.
You're a hills boy,
Yep.
born and bred, which I like to hear because I'm a hills girl, born and bred. So that's good to know. Lindsay, suburb hood highlight. We want to.
So if we look at, I know Ross was saying narrow it down to one suburb. The hills are a number of the individual suburbs. They all have their own postcode. Okay, so you might have an area like Darlington. There's 60 sales in a year. Okay, on a good year. Go back 5 years and there might have been 80.
Yeah.
Go back in the heyday, there was 120. You go to Glen Forest, you might have 40 sales is a average year now. Okay, you go into Mundaring and there's about the same, 40. That's probably this for Parkerville, Stoneville, all those areas. There's not a lot of development, so you don't, how they got those stats for Mundaring, I'll try and work that out. But
One triplex development maybe.
one triplex development, that's it. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What's the average? I mean, obviously it's going to differ between, say, Darlington and Parkerville, but what's your average block size and kind of
predominantly
number of
half acre,
properties?
so that's semi-rural.
Yeah.
So most of it's because it's non-sewered, so half acre up to, you get into Gidgegan up and parts of Parkerville where you get 50-acre lots and 300 or 400-acre lots and what have you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So tell us about the area demographics. The kind of, we mentioned it before.
Yeah. So predominantly young to middle families, if I can put it that way. So if you spoke to me 15 years ago, I would have said most of our sales come within a 10-kilometre radius. Now it's probably 30% of our sales come from within the hills. 70% of people live in what we call the flats, the flatlanders.
Right.
Okay, they actually know there is a Great Eastern Highway that goes uphill, and so they're coming out for the space.
Yeah.
All right. The price growth isn't as strong as what it is in the flats. Okay.
What's the
Takes a bit
flats
slower.
like? Are you talking? Is that like Midland and
Midland
surrounds?
foothills?
Yeah.
And it's sort of west of Midland.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
The dark zone.
The dark zone, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Guildford,
yeah. Most people get a
Bayswater,
nosebleed when they come up Great Eastern
Bassendean.
Highway, you see.
My ears pop.
Green Mountain Hill.
Do they?
And they're predominantly, family of 4, kids. The schools up there are fantastic, primary schools. High schools are a bit, we don't have a great choice, but a choice for primary schools are amazing. You've got all the different, you've got the Christian schools, you've got the public schools are fabulous, you've got Montessori's, you've got Steiner schools. So there's a really large range of primary school choice. So people aren't that focused, I suppose, as down here on the primary school. High school's really hard because I won't name any of them, but they're not that great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they improving?
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
It's taken. They took a dip, and it's hard work, it's tough work. I suppose I don't know how politically correct I'm allowed to be, but the socio-economic environment in some of those areas, it's pretty harsh. My wife sits on the board of one of the high schools, which I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a rough school, so you don't really want to be in that area if you can help it.
It's quite interesting. You'll have properties that obviously well over $1 million.
Yep.
And then at the same school, potentially $200,000 properties.
Correct.
So it's a real big big mix, isn't it?
Yeah. So, for example, in Darlington, there's a property on the it's a property sold last year for 5.1, and yet I just sold one the other day for 420. And they're not quite next door to each other, but you could throw a rock onto each other's roof. So absolutely they're that.
Wow.
It is that diverse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Wow. Predominantly, if I say 60%, 60-70%, half acre. Median house price in Darlington 630. So within 50k either side is where most of them sit.
Yeah.
But you do then get these amazing properties, and some on 50, 100 acres that are just. I won't say who just sold it, but there was a property in Gidgee recently that was called the Lake House. And it was $15 million or something ridiculous. And the house on it was a humpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just land. It was stunning.
They were selling that for like a hotel or Airbnb.
There was multiple of
bungalows.
users that can.
Yeah.
Sources tell me that it was an overseas conglomerate got together to buy it. Yeah.
So tell me, you mentioned before the rental that your higher end rentals are flying. What's hot in sales? What's the quickest?
To be honest, it's all over the place,
Yeah,
really.
right.
We just sold one recently in Helena Valley, acreage property for 1.4, and that only took, I think it was on the market for 5 weeks, which was, for us, that's huge.
Yeah.
Average selling time is 3 months.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ross. So it's at that 90 days, so it's hard slog.
Yeah.
But you talk about the number. I use the same stat in that 6 months. If you've got like for example Glen Forest, about 6 months ago, there was 8 properties on the market. Yet in the previous 6 months, there had been 18 sell. That was such a hot market.
Yeah, okay.
Anything that went on the market sold just like that.
Yeah.
Now we weren't influencing it. It was just buyers' demand. That's all it is. Now it's sort of, if those numbers for me in the 6 month period are the same, number of sales, number on the market, you've actually got a market that will generate a sale for an owner within a 6 week period. That's my stat.
Is it hard also to narrow down price in the sense that if you go to say Canning Vale, 4x2, 500 squares, but really there's so much lifestyle-based decisions there.
Correct.
To ping it, what I see value in compared to a person who wants the dam or what have you. Yep. It's just, the
variance is huge. So I always say when I go and see an owner, I sort of say, look, if I'm, no disrespect to Darl Alcock, but if I'm, in, and I usually use Ellenbrook, a Darl Alcock home is a Darl Alcock home is a Darl Alcock home. Up here, I might be able to find 2 comparable properties that have sold in the last 12 months. And I've then got to say, what one didn't have a pool, one didn't have a massive shed, this didn't have, and you just grabbing the pieces together and saying, look, within 80 grand, it's going to sell for this.
Yeah, okay.
That's how we do an appraisal.
Yeah.
Because you just can't base that emotional buy because you don't. Yeah.
And that's we for most of us agents, we totally take the emotion out of it and say if someone walks through, if Ross Hunter walks through and totally works with his head, he'll only pay you this.
Yeah.
But if Shane Beaumont walks through and his wife wants it and he's,
I hope she does.
So in that kind of market, is your styling and that kind of thing really important in that kind of market? Like your property presentation more so than
very
say
much
in
so,
Ellenbrook?
because you've got the biggest thing we get with the buyer that walks through is the most common comment they say is there's too much work.
Yeah,
now, it's either too much work to get it up to scratch or too much work to continue to maintain it.
Yeah.
So if you can eliminate the maintenance for people, because you've got big gardens and you attract that certain buyer who loves gardening, but as soon as they start to see work, they absolutely hammer you on price.
Yeah.
So when we talk about those type properties across Perth, it's almost like logical is at home looking at the property.
Yep.
Does it tick these boxes?
Correct.
Then emotionally when they come to the home and imagine it, that's where I guess you can see
absolutely
what they're going to do. You can almost tell on the phone sometimes from that call with a property like that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this one I was talking to you about in Helena Valley, the buyer came to me and said, statistically, this is what the property is worth.
Yeah.
They paid $400,000 more than what the stats said.
Yeah. Good marketing.
Go figure.
Big difference.
Yeah, because it just it popped off the page. I think Crib might have done the photos on that one. It popped off the page. It looked fantastic. It was stylish.
Yeah.
And that's an emotional value that I can't
It's a real
price.
driven
Yes.
type market, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
As opposed to the head might, but it's a real heart market in all respects, probably.
Yeah, and especially if you, Ross, if you've got a property, we say to a buyer, good luck going and finding another property. Good luck going and buying another one because you know there's not one out there. I probably couldn't do that in Gosnells if you know there's 10 others. So, for example, we do a little bit in the foothills through Swan View, and at the moment, the $300,000 market in Swan View, I had a buyer come through a property a couple of weeks ago to a home open, and I said, what's your afternoon like? He said, I'm looking at 29.
Yeah, I was just about this, those lifestyle properties. Do you find that you might meet the same buyer 18 months, 2 years later?
Correct.
Because they haven't found that yet.
Correct.
Whereas those, I guess, and that's what people say, you're databasing your buyers. We do to a degree, but they're so fluid in and out the market when there's so many of the same
So
thing.
many options,
But a property like that, you can really match.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We had one that we've got a couple that live in Hillary's, and they've been looking for 3 years. Now they will buy. They've made offers on properties. They will buy, but they're absolutely specific in what they want.
Yeah.
You know, so you can walk through a property and go, right, I'll ring such and such. You know, and you know what happened.
Beautiful.
Interesting.
All right, guys, that was very thorough. I enjoyed that. Just thinking about my mum and dad's house and how they never sell it.
But also, but Lindsay, even from your point of view, just as a realtor and obviously been in the industry for a long time, it's sort of, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, it's so diverse. There's no 2 days are the same.
Nope.
You know, there's no Groundhog Day, and in every one you've got to think. You can't just walk through and go, another one, 4x2, blah, 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 it's worth X. Like, you've got to think it through, it challenges you. You know, I think that's great. It's probably a really important factor for the longevity in the industry.
And Ross, even if I put that on the flip side, I always know if I do think it's Groundhog Day because the owner will tell me. Or I'll hear it from the neighbour. You know, Lindsay didn't seem interested that day. Do you know? Because I felt it was Groundhog Day, and I felt, you know, and you do. Whereas it's what I often say, and it's no disrespect to the guys that work the flatlands, I couldn't do it because there's too many of the same. Whereas for me, I will go through such a variety of homes that interests me. You know,
that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Is it the most challenging you've ever seen real estate in your career, the last few years?
The last 4 years?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hugely. I mean, I thought the GFC was bad, but the last 3 years, what I found last year, the big thing was people just realised this is the new norm. This is it, and we've just got to get on with life. But geez, it took 3 years to break the real estate back, if you can want to call it. You know, and even us agents were in denial that yes, it's going to change. But I think even with sellers, they just went, you know what? If we're going to sell, let's just bloody sell. And not worry about the market. You know.
And there's also the relativity. The market's falling. If you're buying and selling in the same market,
Yes.
to a degree. But yeah, it sort of helps ease the pain.
It does. Yeah.
Beautiful. Roscoe,
Yo,
do you want to roll into 5 questions?
I might do 6.
Look out.
See, Lindsay's ready. Look at him. He's pumped. He's pumped.
You don't know the 6th one.
Okay, we're going to find.
I'm a bit worried about that.
Okay, now he's probably seen them. Okay, so
He
Lindsay,
has seen them.
We being the sage-like people that we are here in the off-market program, we very good, mate. So we believe that in life, the things that we stuff up are often the greatest learnings. Yep. Out of adversity comes opportunity. So the question we like to ask people is, what has been your biggest stuff up? What's the thing that you've stuffed up the most, but at the same time has been probably one of your great learning experiences?
So I will keep this non-personal because that would be not correct. So I will relate it back to my real estate life. Biggest stuff up I made was on when I was dealing with the biggest sale I had, which was close to $3 million, and I'm going back about 14, 15 years, and it was a huge property. And if I look back, I'm possibly out of my depth, I'll be honest with you. And the buyer played me, didn't pay the deposit. I didn't pass that information. I didn't follow the contract. I didn't pass that on to the owner. Then when shit hit the fan, and where's the deposit, and I'll leave it at that. That was a big one. So what that is that right?
It hasn't happened ever since.
Hasn't happened ever since.
Say you're a deposit Nazi.
No, that's right. But you know what made me learn?
Not that.
Is just follow the contract. It's black and white. There's no grey in a contract. It's black and white.
It's probably lucky it happened then. not
Absolutely.
Yeah.
the things you learnt now.
Now, luckily, that owner sold and actually got more than what that person, not through me, unfortunately, but so everything happened, everything turned out beautifully.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. Next question. What are 3 things you'd never leave home without?
What do I never leave home without? My hanky, unfortunately, my phone and my credit card.
Hey,
Cool.
there you go.
Cool. Very good.
Do you walk
Very
everywhere?
good.
Sorry?
Do you walk everywhere?
Pretty much.
Mate, knowing your amount of outstanding sort of notoriety in the Hills area, but we've all got some deep, dark habits. What's your worst habit?
My worst habit. I have to ask my wife that one.
We've already got an email. The email actually exploded the inbox, mate, from your wife.
My worst habit is I don't suffer fools easily. So if I've explained something once and you don't understand, it sort of doesn't go down that well. It doesn't go down that well.
I get that vibe.
Yeah, I absolutely despise repeating myself twice.
Yeah, I don't need to be told the same thing twice either. Yeah, I get that.
Lucky this is a one-take show.
Shit. When you're not at work, mate, where will we find you? What's outside of real estate? Where will you be?
In the garden.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'm a homebody, so gardening with the chooks. I've got a massive chook pen.
Oh, cool.
Veggies?
Swimming with the kids, veggie patch. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, that's my solitude. That's where I go for.
Beautiful.
What's in season at the moment?
Corn, tomatoes, lettuce, and our zucchinis have gone off.
Yeah, I've seen some big zucchinis actually.
Yeah.
Hills life.
I can't keep my chili plant alive, but
Hashtag
The
Hills
chili,
life.
no? Oh, how's it?
I can't. I'm a saying.
It's not a seasonal thing. It's just yeah.
Mate, you obviously food, you like to grow it. Best restaurant, best meal. Where would you go?
Okay, so the best meal I've ever had, so a dining experience, if I put it, was Wildflower. Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Best dish I've ever had was a duck truffle consommé at Must. It was. I can actually taste it now.
So can I.
It was just. It
Look,
came
he's
out.
closed his eyes.
It was seriously.
Mate, you're
it was
there. You just went there, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Russell Blakey, this is a big pump for you, mate.
But it was when we sat down. There were there were all different teacups on the table. And they walked around with a tea bag, which was full of truffle. Okay, truffle shavings, and then Russell and one of his staff members came up with this really rustic teapot and just started pouring this duck broth. And
Mate, you're celebrating.
I wanted to.
I know, he is.
It was to the point where when I don't drink tea, but when you and the wife doesn't have tea bags, but when you do a tea bag, you squeeze it, don't you? At the end. At the end of this, I was literally pounding the truffle bag to get as much juice out of it as I could. It was amazing.
That's what you want on your. That's a sort of review.
That's right.
Yeah, mate. That's the best
Seriously,
Google review on the planet. Mate, very good.
It was good. That was
very good. They don't have though anymore. So
no. This was a special event,
yeah. Okay.
but it was. Yeah, he should put it on his menu.
Yeah.
Mate,
Would have been
God, I'm
expensive.
starving.
There you go, Russell.
Yeah. Make sure this is on Russell's Insta page or whatever. And mate, lastly, most overused saying. What's a saying? You're a man of you know what you want. What's one saying that grates you that people use?
One saying that grates me.
Yeah, the most overused saying out there.
If it goes back to, can you tell me that again? Can you repeat it? Can you, or I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Note to self.
Let's say it.
What is the line, Dad?
So if we're going first home buyer, can you just show me where the deposit bid is in the joint form and conditions? You got one shot, mate.
One shot and then read it. Yeah.
There you go. Back to you, Jess. That was entertaining. Thanks, mate. That was great.
All right. Well, our final segment is Play of the Week.
Yep.
Which, Roscoe, you had a great nomination for this one this week.
Yeah, Play of the Week. I think we always like to see sort of what's happening in the marketplace. Nice to see new names, new brands, a bit of moving and shaking going on out there. And we saw the emergence of Arena Real Estate in the city, which was part of another brand.
Yeah.
So the guys have decided to do their own thing. Josh Robertson and Brad Triplett and the team over in Newcastle Street. Yeah, so the emergence of Arena Real Estate looks good, feels good. And
Does.
Good luck to them.
Congrats, boys.
Good luck to them.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Anyone else, Shane, did you have anything to share?
Not
Old
yet.
mate in the whatever you had yesterday, old mate, Italian friend.
Oh, yeah, Steve Erseg. His dad was 3 doors up from him. My sign's gone up 2 days ago in Redcliffe. And my mum's side's Croatian, or Erseg, so he spoke in thinking I'd understand it. And I said, look, I'd love to share this. Can you just run me through what was said? He told me it was fine. So if it wasn't fine, I do apologise because I don't know what he said. But it sounded sensational. Absolutely sensational. So it is, I did share it. So it's good to see you, Steve.
Beautiful. All right, guys, that's it for us this week. I feel like it was a short show, but I'm not sure until someone
we're
gives
way
me a
over
timer.
time, mate.
Oh, we are? We're well over? There we go.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back in a fortnight. Lindsay, thank you so much
Pleasure.
for joining
Been
us
great.
today.
Thanks for coming.
guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
right.
That's awesome.
That's
See you
it.
soon.
Done.
No worries.
Thank you.
Bye,
We're
guys.
back.
Sorry, no, wait. I don't
Nah,
have my
what?
script on me. I got to thank the guys at Domain for our beautiful set once again, and Chris and everyone behind the scenes.
And everyone.
lost.
Alana, you're in everyone.
You're just an and
I'm
everyone
lost, guys. I'm lost without my script.
She's a bit nervy.
No, I don't have any words.
She's lost
I've
it.
lost the plot. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next time, and I will have a script, and I'll be on point.
Well done.
now. Beautiful.
All right.